took the day off of work today because I got a notice last week that they're doing something to the seals of the apartment doors on my floor, and it said in the notice that your apartment needs to be accessible during this time, and like something along the lines of, please make sure that you're there because otherwise it will cost the building management money or something. I don't remember exactly. So there didn't seem to be any wiggle room or like rescheduling, and I'm the only one who lives here, so I assume that to make the apartment accessible I need to be here, but we'll see how it goes. So anyway, I took the day off. I have a free day at home, and I thought I would, that was Molly's tail, FYI. She comes running whenever I'm doing something that, you know, it would be nice not to be disturbed during. She shows up so that she can meow or put her tail on film or whatever. Anyway, that was a tangent. So I haven't done a reading vlog in a while because it turns out I'm really not very good at this whole like consistently recording and uploading videos thing. I'm working on it. So it's March. One of my reading goals for this year is to read more middle grade, and I had already decided that I was going to devote the month of March to reading only middle grade books, and then I found out that there are some other people on BookTube who have started a whole middle grade March thing, and so of course I spontaneously, with no thought or planning, decided that I was going to participate as well. So this week I'm hoping to talk about and read only middle grade books. I mean, I'm doing that for the whole month, but this reading vlog will be focused on middle grade books. So the middle grade March month thing has 5 different challenges, and I've already completed 2 of them. So one of them is a book with 5 or more words in the title, and I read The Not So Uniform Life of Holly May for that one, and it was super good. It's actually set in Hong Kong, which was really interesting. And then another one of the prompts is to read a book that is older than you are. And so I took that opportunity to read sort of a classic of the middle grade age group, The Westing Game, and I did not like it. I know that that will be considered blasphemy by many people, but it is not a long book. It's like 180 something pages, and it took me so long to get through it. I was just bored. You know, it's like described as action-packed and like full of mystery. I don't know, I did not like it. So there are 3 prompts left. One of them is to read a book about an orphan, and for that I'm going to read The Book of Boy, which is not actually like a book I really want to read. I do remember there being some discourse about problematic things with the book when it came out, and it just doesn't sound that interesting to me. I don't really like historical fiction in general, but like medieval type historical fiction even more. But it was well liked by many people when it came out, and like people say there are tons of books about orphans, and I'm not denying that that's true, but none of them actually sound that interesting to me. And then like there were a couple of books that I do want to read that I thought were about orphans, but it turns out that they were about other things, like just running away from your family or being in transitional housing, not being an orphan. So Book of Boy it is. We will read it. We will see how it goes. And then, let's see. Another challenge is contemporary, and I think I'm going to read Kyle Lugoff's upcoming book that's coming out. sometime this year. Different Kinds of Fruit, I believe is what it's called. Listen, I want to read Too Bright to See. I know it's a really good book, but I don't like scary books, and it's supposed to be like a ghost story, so. And then I always forget what the 5th prompt is. Or did I already talk about them? 5 or more words in the title. Book older than you are. Book about an orphan. Contemporary. Oh, book with an Asian main character or set in Asia, which technically the Holly Mae book could count for this as well. I actually have a ton of books by Asian or Asian American authors on my TBR. I think for this one, I am going to read Katie Zhao's upcoming book, which is Winnie Zhang Unleashes a Legend, I believe is the title, but you know, I'll pop a picture of the book up here so you will be able to see if I'm right or not. So those are the 5 books that I'm like committed to reading this month, and for the rest of the month, like I'm planning to pretty much only read middle grade unless like I have a book to read for a particular thing. So like on my blog, I have to review a certain book, and for School Library Journal, I have to review a certain book, and those are both YA, so I will be reading those, but like other than that, all middle grade. So I've already read a couple that were really good, and this week I'm hoping to keep up that streak. I know I've rambled a lot and haven't actually really talked about anything I'm going to be reading, and to be fair, I don't really know. This is just like the start of that week. I haven't picked up a book yet. It's Monday morning. I have so many middle grade books that I really want to get to, and I just don't know where my moods will take me, other than those challenge books that I will hopefully get to before the end of the month, because that's like the whole purpose of middle grade March. Anyway, so today I am hoping to use this day off productively, and there's a couple of things I want to do for my blog, and I want to create some lists on bookshop.org, and I would really like to record a video of some of my favorite middle grade books, just in case other people want some recommendations for middle grade March. But again, I don't know when the like door seal people are coming, so I don't know if I should try to record something now while the light is really good, or if I should just wait until after they come. I just don't know. And also I should probably like do some planning for this week at my actual job, because this weekend, since I knew I was taking today off, I just used it to relax and not think about work. But you know, Tuesdays are always my busiest days. I have the most classes, and I have a rescheduled class from Monday, and I have a class that I'm covering for another teacher who had surgery, so it's gonna be a really full day. So I should probably know what I'm doing. But that is probably enough chatting for now, and I will catch up with you later when I've actually read something and can talk to you about that. everyone, welcome to my bedroom. It is kind of messy right now, and of course the lighting is terrible, but what else is new? That's just the way it goes in this apartment. You know, my New York City apartment that I lived in for 3 years had south-facing windows, and I realize now that I 100% did not take advantage of that. But that is a little bit of a tangent. So I had a really productive day for a day off. I did some stuff that needed to get done for my blog and for something else that I agreed to do, and then I also actually figured out what I'm doing in all of the library classes I'm teaching this week, which I'm rarely that on top of things when it comes to teaching. Usually I'll have a general idea, but I won't know exactly what I'm doing, or I will need to make materials or print stuff out, but everything is ready to go for this week, which makes me happy and will make me feel less stressed throughout the week, so that's good. I also, as I mentioned earlier, made a video about my favorite middle grade books, and I even started editing that, which I often put off for very long periods of time because I really don't like editing. Of course, as soon as I started doing that, the guys who were coming to do work on the apartments on my floor showed up, and what they were doing involved them taking the doors literally off all of the apartments on the floor so they could put this new rubber seal thing in the door frame to, I guess, make the doors more airtight or something. I don't know. I'm doing really well with the whole German language thing. So anyway, with no door on and with guys literally outside my apartment, and in some cases inside my apartment, because at several points they moved the door in and out of the apartment. So I just, I can barely talk on camera when other people are around. I definitely am not going to edit a video when I have to watch back a bunch of times, so would be hearing the same thing over and over to find the exact place to cut out. I couldn't do it. So that didn't get done. In any case, most of the day did not involve reading, but finally I did actually read another book for middle grade March. When I was making the list of my favorite middle grade books, I included Keep It Together, Kiko Carter by Debbie Michiko-Florence, and I knew that there was a companion book about one of the other girls in the friend trio that's introduced in Kiko's book, but I was looking up to see if she had written a book about the third girl, and what I found was that she has another book coming out called Sweet and Sour that I had at some point in time downloaded a digital arc of, and it just sounded really good in that moment. That's basically how I decide to read things, unless I have specific obligations for something, like a book that I have to review for a professional publication. It's generally just what sounds good right now, okie doke. And it just sounded like the right book. So I read that, and it was good. Something that I think she does really well, the author, Debbie Michiko-Florence, she writes middle grade that has romance in it, and I think she does it really well, the middle school relationship type thing, and I just feel they're very sweet and innocent. And if you know middle school students who are wanting books that have some romance in them, because I feel not a lot of middle grade goes there, which again is totally fine because not a lot of middle schoolers are in that place. But some are, and some are thinking about their first boyfriends or girlfriends, and she just does it really well, and that's one of the reasons that I liked Keep It Together, Kiko Carter. And it was well done, again, in Sweet and Sour. So I really liked that. I thought that the summer setting was really nice. It was a little bit of an enemies to lovers type trope. I mean, obviously it's middle school, so not really, but like there had been a conflict between the two main characters, the boy and the girl. Something happened between them a couple of summers ago, and there are very strong, intense feelings of betrayal on the part of Mai, the main character, and her love interest, doesn't even really know what's going on. So it's just very interesting dynamic, but there's lots of other good stuff too. Like, the secondary characters were really great. I personally loved these 6-year-old twins. They were wonderful comic relief. So it was a quick read. It was really good. It's, I don't know, coming out in a couple of months probably. I didn't even look at the publication date. So if, again, you are looking for, or you know someone who like wants their tween books to have a little bit of romance, I would go with these books. And also, this is a side note, this is not about that book. Like, I know I'm talking about boy-girl relationships. If you want queer relationships for the tweenage set, I think that I just read How to Become a Planet by Nicole Melleby, and that has like a very sweet sort of introductory sapphic romance, and I think that what is her name? Ashley Herring Blake, her books, I've only read Ivy Aberdeen, but I know she has 2 other ones, and I'm pretty sure that they all have girls who are interested in other girls, and I know Ivy Aberdeen, like, there's a little bit of an unrequited romance. I'm not sure if the other 2 get into the actual romance, but How to Become a Planet definitely does have a little bit of that. So if you are looking for tween middle grade books that have queer romance, then that is my recommendation. Okay, it is not even that late, but I have already taken makeup off, taken contacts out, washed my face, I am in my pajamas, I am in my bed. It is time to watch some episodes of the latest television show that I have been marathoning. I will plan on talking to you more tomorrow. Hey friends, how's it going? I just got home from work. It is Tuesday afternoon. Today was, as I suspected, quite the busy day. I'm sorry, I just noticed that Minerva is having a little bath in the background, so please excuse my cat's lack of propriety. As I mentioned yesterday, Tuesday is my busiest day of the week. I did use some of my lunchtime to read a couple of books. I started the Book of Boy, which is my book that I'm reading for the Orphan Challenge for middle grade March, and I only really read like a chapter because I just was not in the mood for it. So then I decided to switch to the book Much Ado About Baseball, Rajni LaRocca's book. That's sort of, I don't know if it's meant to be like a companion to Midsummer's Mayhem, or just like the same sort of slight Shakespeare-y allusions, but it's sort of in that same vein. And I got a lot farther in that one, and I am really enjoying it. It's actually told in dual perspectives by these 2 characters who are both playing baseball and very into math. And one of them is very into baseball, and one of them is not so into it. They're sort of rivals because they competed in the same math puzzle competition, and one beat the other for the highest score. And there's a fellow teammate on their baseball team who like really wants them to be friends and is sort of meddling in that nosy Shakespearean way. And there's also, some food-based magic going on. So it's got all of those like whimsical fantasy elements that Midsummer's Mayhem had, and I am enjoying the baseball games very much. So that's going well. I would say I'm probably about a third of the way through that one, and I would like to keep reading it today and maybe finish that one. In February and January, I wouldn't say I was in a reading slump, but I was sort of taking my time a little bit more and not like making myself read at the same pace that I did last year when I really wanted to meet my reading goal of 250 books. So I definitely read fewer books in January and February than I am used to. But this month, just because like there's so many middle grade books I want to read, and middle grade books do tend to go a bit faster, I have been keeping up the pace of one book a day, and like I know eventually I will probably like burn out a little bit, but for right now I'm really liking keeping up with that, and like I'm really hoping that I can read 30 or 31 middle grade books in March, which would be really amazing. Just because, like I said, I really love middle grade, but I don't read it enough. So yes, that is basically all of the update I have for you. I know there's not a lot of reading content in that, but I think I'm going to go have a snack, and then we will see if I jump right back into reading or if I end up going back to watching TV. We shall see. So I will hopefully be back with another update later, but no promises. Hi there, everyone. It is Wednesday. I am at work. I obviously did not end up getting back to chat about books last night. I did end up taking like a 2-hour nap instead of reading. Then I did do some reading. I decided not to continue with the 2 books I had already started. I started a new upcoming book by Zoraida Cordova instead, Valentina Salazar's Not a Monster Hunter. I read about the first third of that, and that was really good, but I just was too tired to get back on the camera and share my thoughts. Today is not as busy a day as Tuesdays are, but I never know when my assistant is going to get here or some kid is going to walk in, so I don't want to be like talking to myself on the camera when they do. So I just wanted to quickly share that. Hopefully I will have some more updates throughout the day. Also, I didn't realize, but yesterday was the pub day for Kelly Barnhill's new book, which is called The Ogress and the Orphans. And currently, only one of my libraries that I have memberships to has a copy in ebook form. And of course, there's a super long hold list for it, but I am really hoping that I can recommend it to some of the other ones, and maybe they can get it before the end of March and I can read that instead of The Book of Boy, because it sounds so much better. Oh man, I know that sounds really terrible. I'm sure The Book of Boy is a wonderful book. It's just not really my thing in particular. Okay, sorry, I haven't really talked much this morning, so I still have like morning sleep voice, when you just wake up and you haven't talked for a while and your voice is just not where it usually is. Anyway, maybe I will also share with you some things I do in the library today. Who knows? For now, I just wanted to say good morning and sorry, not sorry for not updating again last night. The nap was really nice, and I will talk to you later. tropical apartment where it is approximately, I don't know, like 80 degrees inside due to the fact that I have an entire wall of my apartment with west-facing windows, which I did not think to like look up the direction of the windows when I was choosing apartments, which maybe would have been a smart thing, or even think about like what it would mean for an entire wall of west-facing apartments. But it does mean that even in the winter it is very toasty as the sun is setting. Anyway, I have a little afternoon pick-me-up, by which I mean some iced coffee. And I'm home from work, obviously. I came home a little bit early today because they're doing screenings for incoming first graders at my school, and they use the library for part of that procedure. And I didn't want to have to be like totally silent while they were doing that or accidentally disturb them because it's kind of an important process. So I just came home. It's fine. So I went to the grocery store. Sorry, my cats are both involved in antics behind me. One of them is trying to figure out how to get up onto the windowsill. One of them is trying to eat my fake plants. So it's going really great. Sorry for that tangent. So I went to the grocery store, which wasn't as crowded as it usually is, which is nice. I went to the post office, which was more crowded than it usually is. But I'm super excited because, as you can see behind me, I got some packages from Redbubble. So I basically did zero decorating of this apartment for like, let's see, October, November, December, January, February, for like 5 months. And so I placed a massive Redbubble order, and it has been trickling in, and finally these are the last couple of boxes. And so since I spend a lot of my time at this desk, like basically anytime I am not like in my bed, which is where I sleep and sometimes read and watch TV, I'm usually at this desk. I do a lot of my laptop work here. I usually eat at my desk because yes, I do have a table that seats multiple people, but like this is where I plug in my laptop, and I don't have a TV. I just have my laptop for watching stuff. So if I want to like watch a show while I eat, I usually do that here. So basically, I spend a lot of time looking at the wall behind my desk, and so I wanted it to look nice. And so I did put up this stuff. I brought over with me the little metal grid thing and pictures from my previous travel, but I also wanted some like book themed stuff. I got like a variety of posters and art prints and stuff, and I'm gonna do a little like collage over on this side, and maybe depending, I bought a lot of stuff. So I'm not sure how high up it will go, and maybe it will go like up and over across to the other side too, or maybe I'll use some of the pieces that aren't like specifically book related in other parts. There is one thing I got that's like a big poster with all of the neighborhoods of Manhattan on it that is like really big, and I do want to get a frame for that and put it somewhere other than back behind this desk. But I am looking forward to putting all of that up. I don't know if that will be a today project or a weekend project. Oh, also, I mentioned this morning that yesterday I had checked all of my libraries, and only one of them had a copy of The Ogress and the Orphans, which is Kelly Barnhill's new book that came out yesterday. And today, and that was on my Libby app on my phone, I was checking. Then today I went on the Overdrive websites on my computer, and I was going to request it at my other libraries in the hope of them getting it before the end of the month so I could read that for my middle grade March orphan challenge instead of the Book of Boy. And I went to one of the libraries and searched for it, and it had been added and it was available, so I checked it out right away. And I started reading that. I read, I think, the first 5 chapters, but the chapters are really short, so I really only read like 20 pages of that. And I also read a couple more chapters of Much Ado About Baseball. I feel like, and I know this is I don't know how else to describe this. I feel like I have reading related ADHD a little bit because I can't stick with one book. So I've got those two going and the Valentina Salazar book. So I'm hoping to finish one of those three today. Probably either Much Ado About Baseball or Valentina Salazar. I think that is probably enough rambling from me. We shall see what happens the rest of the day. I'm gonna enjoy my coffee and look at my Redbubble stuff and then maybe do some reading. I also have a video I need to edit. I'm putting it off because I hate editing, but I really want to put it up this week, so I gotta make myself do that. So we shall see if I do some editing or if I skip that and do some reading. Either way, I'm gonna stop talking to you now and go do something else. So I'll catch up with you later. Hello, my friends. It has been a day. It is Thursday. I got home from work a little while ago. It was a super busy day because now on Thursdays, while I am doing this class coverage thing for the coworker who is recovering from surgery, I start my days with 2 classes back to back, first and second periods. And I know that's normal for many teachers. So I'm not complaining, but I am saying it makes the day really, really hectic, I feel like. This is, well, it is what it is. Usually, I intentionally get to work a good half hour early, and I like to be there before my assistant to have some quiet time in the library and sort of ease myself into the workday. So I feel like it's fine if I get there super early before the school day officially begins, for me to have a nice breakfast and do the daily Wordle and just have relaxingly start the workday. That's usually what I like to do. And today, I got to work even earlier than I usually do, and I still was hustling to get everything set up. Even though I knew what I was going to do, I still had some last minute prep work and printing stuff out and cutting stuff out and getting my daily morning corona test, which is so much fun. So I was running around getting set up, and then I was teaching for an hour and a half straight, and so I didn't even get to play the Wordle until 10 o'clock. I know that is the epitome of a first world problem. All that is to say, I really haven't done a lot of reading since I last updated you. I know that the last time I did a little chat with you all, I had said that I was thinking about editing a video, and I did make myself do that, and I got to the end of it, and I realized that the video had stopped recording 6 books before I was done. So at that point, I was just kind of done with everything. I couldn't even have the satisfaction of having a completed video because, it cut off abruptly in the middle of one of the books I was talking about, and I had still wanted to talk about 6 more books. So today, so last night after that mini catastrophe, I just was not in the mood to do any reading, so I went back to my old standby TV show and watched a couple of episodes of that, and then went to bed. Today I read a tiny bit during my lunch break, a couple of chapters of Much Ado About Baseball, and it's going well. I think that we are starting to get to the point where there's more weird stuff happening because of the mischievous magical creatures who are in town, and the human folk who are unsuspecting still don't really know like why their teams, like the baseball team's hair is changing colors, or they're all suddenly simultaneously sneezing for 3 minutes. But clearly it has something to do with that weird new food place and their food that seems to actually influence their behavior. So anyway, it's still going well. It's cute. I want to keep reading. I want to finish it. And then I still have my other 2 books that I started and have not made any other progress on, The Ogress and the Orphans and Valentina Salazar is Not a Monster Hunter. So again, I am hoping to do more reading tonight. I still need to eat dinner, and once my edited video is done uploading to YouTube, I have to do like, you know, the stuff for the description box and all that tedious stuff. So again, will I make myself do that now, or will I read, or will I just watch TV? You know, this has mostly been a reading vlog of me talking about how little I've been reading. I started the week really well. Tangent. Anyway, the video that I was editing is my favorite middle grade books, and that will be up before you see this vlog, so I'm gonna link it up here. If you are also participating in Middle Grade March and you are looking for some other middle grade titles that you want to check out this month, then please watch it and leave me a comment, because I have just told you how much of a pain it was for me to get through that whole video. Warning that it is really long because I like physically cannot prevent myself from rambling on about books that I love. Also, I know people, this is another tangent. I see all of these monthly TBR videos at the beginning of the month, and like, God bless all of you who do those, but how can you make that decision for a whole 30 or 31 day period of everything you're going to read during that time? Like, I just feel like I am so like tied to my mood in terms of what I want to read. I don't want to set like specific books, because what if suddenly all of those books sound completely unappealing in that particular month? So I see all the people who are like, this is exactly what I'm reading for Middle Grade March, and I'm like, even like I picked the books I was planning to read for the 5 challenges that the Middle Grade March hosts created, and even now I'm like, well, you know, I said I was going to read this book for contemporary, but technically I've already read 2 other books that are classified as contemporary, so why don't I just count one of those and then I can read that book some other time? It's a whole thing. So anyway, I admire all of you who make monthly TBRs and then stick to them and actually like follow a plan for your reading. I will never be that person. Okay. I've now talked to you for like 9 minutes, and I don't know, maybe 1 minute of that was about books, so I'm gonna stop now. I'm gonna go make some dinner, do something productive, reading or YouTube stuff, and then I will I keep saying, maybe I'll check in with you again before I go to bed, but it seems like that is not to be, so I'll say I'll probably talk to you tomorrow. I have some good news, which is that I actually managed to finish reading some books today. By the way, it is Friday evening. I am at home in my bedroom. So is Molly. She is over here being the bed hog that she is. And we are getting ready for bed. I promise I'm wearing clothes, by the way. My hair is just kind of covering my shirt and I'm slouching. Anyway, that is not the point. So I don't think I've said anything today. So I managed to finish 3 books today, which I am very thrilled by. I finally finished Much Ado About Baseball, and I feel really stupid because like when I saw the cover and the style that it was in, I thought that it was going to be connected in some way to Midsummer's Mayhem, but based on the title, I did think that it would be like more about like the Much Ado About Nothing play, because it's Much Ado About Baseball. And even though like there were hints all along the way that that was not true, my brain was still like, well, eventually like that aspect will come up, right? But no, all along I should have like gone with my original suspicions of it being in some way connected. It is in fact a companion to Midsummer's Mayhem, but I don't know if anyone has read that one. Basically, the whole idea is that Oberon and Titania, the fairy king and queen from Midsummer Night's Dream, are real and visiting this town in Massachusetts, and they have a bet going on in the summer about, and whoever wins the bet will get to stay in the town. And so in Midsummer's Mayhem, they're trying to get their bakery to stay open, and so Titania wins the bet. And that side gets to stay in this Massachusetts town. And so Much Ado About Baseball is the other side of things, which is Oberon's cafe, which is all about like the salty and savory snacks that they are feeding to the baseball players and doing other like meddlesome fairy things. Anyway, I did not put it together until the very end, and I feel, excuse me, a little bit dumb. But anyway, I did really enjoy Much Ado About Baseball. I think not quite as much as Midsummer's Mayhem, because I am not as passionate about math or baseball as I am about baking, but it was still a really good story. I liked having that element of like the competition between the warring fairy sides being brought back into it. There were some dramatic moments toward the end and it wrapped up nicely. It was a fun read. It's probably not going to become a favorite of mine like Midsummer's Mayhem was, but I would still recommend it. Anyway, I can't believe I've talked so long about that book. Then I know I'm still in the middle of several other books that I have been talking about all week, but I decided to instead read some other books because that is the logical, smart thing to do. So, I've been wanting to read the graphic novel Twins by Varian Johnson for a while, and ever since I bought it for my library, it has been checked out, which is fantastic, but oh, the other day someone brought it back and I snuck it into my backpack before a kid could grab it and check it out again, which maybe makes me a little bit of a bad librarian, but I'm gonna bring it back right away on Monday. So I read that. It was a very fast read. I really loved it. I thought it was a really interesting perspective. I mean, I'm not a twin, but I can understand how each twin in a relationship like that would kind of feel like they don't measure up to the other twin for whatever reasons, because no matter how identical your DNA is, you're still going to have different personalities and different strengths and blah, blah, blah. So I thought it did that really well. I really liked the art style. I thought that the drawings were just really cute. I just really liked the way that Maureen and Francine were drawn. But it was a fast read for me, even for a graphic novel. And I did really like just the very small plot point throughout the book about the microaggressions that Black people often face when in retail establishments, and sort of how that affected the store. So that was just like a very tiny, subtle thing that I really appreciated just being present, because it is a part of everyday life for people of color and Black people particularly. So that was good. And then last week I, on a whim, decided to read the first City Spies book because I'd heard good things about it, and so I read it. And I really liked it, so I checked out the sequel immediately. And today even though I want to read The Ogress and the Orphans, I wasn't in the mood for that because, like I mentioned, I think before, it takes a little bit more brain power to read that book. That's not a bad thing, it just is what it is. And tonight I just wanted something that, I knew was going to be fun and kind of a fast-paced plot. So I read that, and it was as good as the first one. I just loved it so much. As ridiculous as the concept of teenage and preteen spies who are completely operating in secret and go on these super dangerous covert missions, I know that it's so far-fetched and requires a ton of suspension of disbelief, but I love it so much. So just as the first one was, it was a super fast read, very much an action-oriented plot. I finished it in just a couple of hours, and now I am eagerly awaiting one of my holds for the third book to come in, because of course that's the most recent one, so it's not available at any of my libraries. Also, I know I've been talking about Middle Grade March a bunch and saying how one of the prompts is about a book with an orphan as a main character, and talking about how I didn't want to read The Book of Boy and now I'm reading The Ogress and the Orphans. City Spies is about a group of orphans. I didn't even connect it. So I've technically already read 2 books with orphans as main characters and could check that one off the list, which I probably will. But I do still want to read The Ogress and the Orphans, and hopefully I will finish it before the end of the month or before my library hold runs out. But if not, I have the Orphan Challenge checked off. So I'm gonna stop talking because I've already talked for longer than I was planning to. I'm gonna go to bed. I hope you are having a nice Friday night wherever you are, or, whenever you watch this, having a nice day. So yeah, I will see you tomorrow. Did my normal Saturday morning routine of running down to the grocery store to stock up on whatever I think I might need tomorrow, because I'm not sure if I've ever mentioned this, but in Austria and Germany, there's a fun tradition of almost all retail establishments being closed on Sundays, because that's the family day, the religion day, whatever. So most grocery stores are not open. Most stores in general are not open. Restaurants usually are, so I could always get takeout if I needed to. But for some reason, it always works out that I'm about to run out of cat food, and it will happen on a Sunday. I don't know how or why, but it's just the way it is. I mean, obviously I could figure out how many cat food containers I buy. That's a tangent. We're not gonna go there. So I ran down and got some more oat milk because I was almost out of that, and some more cat food so that the kitties don't starve, and some pastries because on the weekends I like to have pastries for breakfast. Okay, my goodness, I've talked so much in this vlog. It is going to be super long unless I make serious edits. Anyway, I'm about to have my pastry and my coffee and maybe watch a little YouTube before I start doing anything for the day. I don't really know what I want to do or what I want to read today. It is supposed to be really nice here, like 50 degrees Fahrenheit-ish, and the same tomorrow. So I do kind of want to go out and like go for a walk and be in the sunshine, but at the same time, Saturdays I really like to be lazy and like not leave my apartment very much. So maybe I will save a walk for tomorrow. I also really want to put up the like posters and stuff that I mentioned I had gotten before. So that might be a project for today, putting those up there. And even though I'm still in the middle of 2 books, I don't really feel in the mood for either of them. So I definitely want to do some reading today, but I don't know what I want to read. So I just brought over a couple of books that I think I might be thinking about reading. That was not a well-constructed sentence. I think I might be like more in the mood for. So the first one is this one, Blackbird Girls by Anne Blankman. And one of my reading goals for this year is to read more historical fiction. Last year I read a total of 1 historical fiction book. And I read 260 books last year. So that's not a good ratio. So I'm really trying to read more, make an actual effort to read more, even though it is not my favorite genre. And this one looked interesting to me because it is set like during the time of Chernobyl, and it feels kind of poignant and appropriate given what is going on in our world right now. So I think it will be an interesting read, and as a bonus, it's not about World War II, which I've mentioned before. I'm really not a fan of World War II historical fiction. So I have that one, and then I have A Field Guide to Getting Lost by Joy McCullough, which just sounds really like fun, and A Place at the Table by Sadia Faruqi and Laura Chauvin. I also have 2 of Ashley Herring-Blake's middle grades. I have read the Ivy Aberdeen one that I don't remember the whole title of, but I have Sunny St. James one, and I have the Hazel Bly one. Again, I'm sorry, I cannot remember the full titles of either of them. The Mighty Heart of Sunny St. James, and Hazel Bly, and The Deep Blue Sea. So I have both of those. One of them I borrowed from my school library, and one of them I have as an ebook. And I really want to read both of those. So there's a lot of possibilities. I just really don't know what I'll be in the mood for. Now that I've once again rambled on for a significant amount of time without actually telling you much about what I'm reading, I'm going to go eat my breakfast, drink my coffee, and I will catch up with you in a little while. Sunday afternoon, evening, and it is officially the end of this reading vlog. Molly is right here next to me. You can see little parts of her peeking into the camera, so enjoy seeing her tail and ears and all of that. Anyway, I just wanted to quickly wrap up my week of reading before I say goodbye to you until the next video. So yesterday, after the last time we chatted, I did read a couple more books. I read Katie the Cat Sitter, the graphic novel, which was so cute. I went into it not really knowing anything about it other than like I assumed that it was about a cat sitter because that's in the title and there's cats on the cover. Someone else had mentioned that they thought it was about a superhero, and I was like, no, it's just about a cat sitter. But no, it is about a superhero. In this version of the world that Katie the Cat Sitter is set in, like, everything is normal except like superheroes exist and so do supervillains. Like they're just an everyday part of the fabric of society. And so Katie really wants to go to camp with her friends from school, but her family can't really afford it. So she tries to like start an odd jobs business in her apartment. She's not really good at anything. Then this like kind of mysterious, really like stealthy neighbor offers her a cat sitting job. She has 217 cats and they all have unique abilities like computer hacking and martial arts. I don't remember the other ones, but it's really funny. And basically, you know, there's more going on beneath the surface with the neighbor and her job and what she's doing in the city. And when she gets into a bit of a jam, Katie learns the true nature of her work and has to like scramble to rescue her. And it was so good. It was such a fast read. The cats are adorable. I know it's a graphic novel, but like I loved them and wanted to adopt all 217 of them. And also, why can't my cats computer hack and order pizzas and all of that? If someone would like to teach them, please let me know. Then I read Res Dogs by Joseph Bruchac, which was really interesting. It was another super fast read because it is a novel in verse. It was interesting because it is set during like the early days of the pandemic, like the first few months when we don't really know as much about the COVID-19 virus and when everything has sort of shut down, we're sheltering in place. So it's just interesting to see things like, so the main character in this book, she is staying with her grandparents on their reservation because she had gone to visit them for a weekend and then everything shut down while she was there. So she was basically kind of stuck with them on the reservation for the first couple of months of the pandemic. She didn't go back to where her parents were in Boston. And so it was just interesting to see things like when a package comes, we have to disinfect it, and her grandparents being told like they can't go outside because the virus is more likely to infect them, when like, yes, it is airborne, but we know that if you're outside, it's really less likely to spread to you, and just all of that stuff that was just what we were doing at the beginning of the pandemic. It's honestly just, I know it's such recent history, but it's a really interesting look at history. But the book itself is good. It's about a girl and the dog who sort of adopts her family during this time, and it's a really sweet story, and like I said, a very quick read. So if any of that sounds appealing to you, I would definitely recommend it. I also am always looking to add more books by Indigenous authors to my list of books I've read, so I was happy to get another one in during middle grade March. I have another 2 that I'm hoping to read before the end of this month, but we'll talk about that another time. And then finally today, I spent most of the day reading The Blackbird Girls by Anne Blankman, which I actually did start yesterday, but did not finish. And this is a historical fiction. It is mainly set in the aftermath of the 1986 nuclear disaster in Ukraine. And the two main characters in the story start out as enemies and end up having to evacuate the city together. And so that relationship changes over time as their circumstances sort of force them to be together to survive. But there's a third point of view in the story that is told during the early days of World War II, when this 12-year-old girl is having to evacuate Ukraine as the German army is approaching. And she is Jewish, so her family is in imminent danger, but her mom is pregnant when most people are evacuating, so they can't go anywhere, and then she has the baby, and they really, like, she has two younger brothers as well, so, like, they can't evacuate. Basically, she says, like, Rivka, you have to go. I want you to go on your own, and there's a slightly older cousin who is supposed to evacuate with her, and so just, it's interesting to see the parallels of these two different generations of young girls who have to go through this experience of leaving what has been their home for as long as they can remember because of the dangerous circumstances that are putting their lives at risk, basically. And like, the story itself is great. I ended up really enjoying how the relationship between Oksana and Valentina developed, and it was nice to see that friendship blossom and both of them sort of really get to know the other person and get past what was keeping them from being friends before. In Oksana's case, learning to see past these super harmful stereotypes about Jewish people that her father had drilled into her head. But at the same time, it just makes me so angry to read books about pretty much anything Soviet history. I don't know if I've ever talked about this on here before, but before I became a librarian, I studied Russian in college, and I got a master's degree in Russian and East European studies, and like, we all know that the Nazis were bad and that the Holocaust was a tragedy and Hitler was a monster. We know all of that. But the thing is that Stalin was a monster too. And I know that, like, we all academically know that, but we don't talk about it as much. And just hearing about all of the atrocities that happened during the time of the Soviet Union, and I know I'm saying Stalin, but like, it began with Lenin, and Stalin's predecessors weren't angels either. Not predecessors. The people who followed him. I can't think of the equivalent word. Anyway, the people who controlled the Soviet Union after Stalin. I mean, when you think about all of the people who were sent to Soviet work camps and the forced famine that was essentially a genocide in Ukraine and everything else that happened during that time, and what's going on right now with Russia and Ukraine, it's heartbreaking, and it feels like history is just repeating itself over and over again. And you can see that, like, with Rivka's story of having to evacuate from Ukraine, and then with the girls having to evacuate from Ukraine, and now seeing in the news that 2 million people have left Ukraine. I know this is just me ranting about these things, and I don't have a solution. I wish I did, but it's frustrating and heartbreaking. Anyway, it's a good book though. I mean, it will break your heart for sure a little bit. It has, you know, a hopeful ending. Like, the ending isn't tragic. It's not, you know, the happily ever after that we would want, but it is a hopeful ending. But it's still, like, I just feel like, especially as Americans, we do not go super in depth into the history of places other than the United States, and even that history is not taught well. That's another tangent. But like, how many people even know about these things that happened? And you know, the expression, those who don't learn history are doomed to repeat its mistakes or something. We are repeating those mistakes over and over, and I'm just really frustrated because I don't know what could be done to change that. I know that's not really like a great place to stop this reading vlog for the weekend, but that's where we're at. And that is the last book that I read. So in total, over the course of this week, I read Sweet and Sour by Debbie Michiko-Florence. I read Twins by Varian Johnson, the second City Spies book, Golden Gate by James Ponti. Then I read Katie the Cat Sitter, Res Dogs, and Blackbird Girls. And I'm forgetting I Had Much Ado About Baseball by Rajani LaRocca. So 7 books in 7 days is pretty good. I know they're all middle grade books and some of them were really fast reads, but I am happy with that progress. I am going to stop talking now and enjoy the rest of my Sunday evening. I hope wherever you are having a wonderful day as well. Leave me a comment telling me what you read this week. And until then, I will see you next time.